What's going on, guys? Rybom Teacher in the house, and I am here with a My Thoughts Let's Talk video. This time, topic of discussion, of course, is the Isle of Armor. The Isle of Armor has, of course, been out for a couple of days at the time I'm recording this video. I did actually stream the playthrough of the story, and I've streamed a little bit more of the game since. But I wanted to give you guys kind of my thoughts on the game. My thoughts on the DLC as a whole, just to kind of give you guys an impression of what I feel about it. Obviously, my only experience of this has been on Sword. I have not played the Shield expansion, and I don't know if I will play the Shield expansion, because I don't think there's that much difference between the two, aside from the rival character. So, we'll have a look at it, and we'll talk about it from that perspective, so bear in mind I may miss some things, but that's just part and parcel of not simply playing them all. But let's get right on into it. So, first up, let's have a talk about the overworld. Now, one of my biggest concerns going into this was how expansive a map are we gonna get. Now, when I first saw the trailer, I personally thought the Isle of Armor looked pretty small. When we saw that little shot of the flying taxi fly over to it, I was a little bit concerned that it was kind of tiny, there wasn't really a lot to explore, and there wasn't much going. I was actually wrong. There's quite a lot there. It's quite an expansive island, and it's also actually kind of refreshing to see it. There's a lot of different areas, there's a lot of different diversity, and you can largely explore that in any order, which I thought was pretty cool. I thought it was nice to have different areas where different Pokemon resided and stuff. It was kind of refreshing. I was pretty happy to see it. I got a good amount out of playing on the overworld. I feel like it was really interesting. But let's talk about the next part, which also ties into that, which is the story. Now, the story itself was kind of somewhat limited. It was kind of almost entirely focused around Kubfu and like your development. We got a few other characters and stuff, which we'll talk about in a second. The story was kind of actually fairly linear in itself, but you could kind of do it at your own pace, however you felt like doing it. Obviously, if you wanted to speedrun your way through it and power your way through it, you could. And if you wanted to actually just play using the Isle of Armor Pokemon only, which I didn't do, I used my favorite Pokemon, so it didn't really matter to me. But the story itself was really interesting. There was a lot of intuitive. I kind of like the exploration of that particular overworld and how the story kind of took you to different parts of the island. I thought that was really cool. I enjoyed that a lot. I think even though the story was kind of limiting, it was pretty much what I expected. So I didn't expect like a 30-hour story because it's a tiny island. So I expected about 3 to 4 hours, and that's pretty much what I got out of it. I completed the story in 3 hours-ish. But admittedly, part of that was me not having a clue where I was going. That's one of the problems I felt like with the story, though, is that it wasn't inherently clear sometimes where you had to go, and I did find it kind of a little bit confusing. I had to constantly go over to the map to kind of see where I needed to go or what I needed to do next. And stuff like that, but you know what, the story was fine. It's pretty much what I expected, so no real complaints here. So the next thing we're going to talk about is the characters and the new characters that we got in this game. Of course, we got new rivals in Clara and Avery. I, of course, worked with Clara. I've not actually played with Avery myself, although I did watch a few other people play through the story with Avery as they play through Shield. And of course, we got Mustard and Honey and a lot of the other people in the dojo. I really like all the characters except Avery. I felt like Avery had no real personality at all. I felt like his character was just kind of bland and kind of boring. Clara was definitely a lot better in terms of a rival character. She definitely had that kind of arrogance and that kind of definite rival feeling, that she was always that guy that was chasing, or that girl in this case, chasing your tail and stuff like that. She was always the one that was trying to get one up, but then always trying to use like underhanded tactics to get there. I kind of liked the fact that we had the rival battle with her and she'd already thrown toxic spikes on the ground before. I thought that was kind of a little bit cheeky and a little bit funny, but it was kind of good comedic value, and it kind of gave Clara a good amount of personality to me. Mustard is my favorite new character. I think Mustard is incredible. I think his development is exceptional. I think the fact that he just constantly pushes you and constantly challenges you and gets even stronger. I like the fact that he just throws off his green jacket and like his eyebrows are just suddenly like ridiculously long. We thought it was like his hair as he's just curled it down, but nope, turns out they were his eyebrows, which was pretty funny to me and pretty amusing. Really liked his character. I thought it definitely gave you a lot of fun. It was definitely a lot more of interest. But yeah, Avery to me kind of felt bland. That's probably the big one. And Honey's kind of a nice little side character that just adds a little bit. It's more side quests and stuff for her. But you know what? She's a nice character. I'm okay with it. Alright, let's talk about probably the meat and potatoes of this one. It's going to be the Pokemon. Of course, most of this was tailored around Kubfu and Urshifu, which made a lot of sense. I actually really like Urshifu. I think competitive-wise, it's going to be banned in most formats. I think it's very, very strong. We actually haven't talked about it, the GPL stuff yet, but we will have this one. I'm probably going to be the hot take on this one. I personally think both forms should be banned in competitive format. I think they are impeccably strong offensively. And I don't necessarily think that's the greatest way to break through them. Mostly due to Unseen Fist, meaning that you can't protect Starlet and stuff like that. So that's always interesting to note. But yeah, I picked the Water Urshifu. I think the multi-hit always crit move is actually pretty disgusting. It's basically a 180 base power move that you can't actually stop. So yeah, that's really, really strong. A lot of the Pokemon got new moves. A lot of Pokemon came back. A lot of really, really good Pokemon came back. You know, Pokemon like Azumarill is going to be very underrated. Scizor is back, which is always nice. We got Skarmory back, which I'm not a huge fan of, as we have Corviknight, which in my opinion is better than Skarmory. And stuff like that, although it did get Body Press, so there's a lot of things. The new moves that a lot of these Pokemon got are insane. Some of these tuner moves are absolutely broken. The Psychic move especially feels broken to me, especially when Pokemon like Indeedee and Hatterene are very commonly used together right now. So yeah, we're going to have some pretty interesting times with the Pokemon, with the returning Pokemon. My only gripe, Pokemon-wise, is I felt like there was a lot of Galar Pokemon actually on the Isle of Armor. I would have liked to have seen those spots kind of more given to more Pokemon coming back rather than more Pokemon from Galar. The caveat, of course, to that is this is still technically the Galar region, so it makes sense that Galar Pokemon also live there. So I'm not necessarily too against it, but you know what, there's always that kind of feeling. It's like it would be kind of nice to have had more Pokemon back, but we got a lot of good Pokemon back for all tiers of competitive play, whether it's the upper tiers or even the lower tiers. So a lot of Pokemon like Bufalon have been relatively decent in lower tiers for a while. Draudigon as well. Dragalge's not bad in lower tiers. So there's a lot of interesting new Pokemon coming back. But you kind of always have that feeling that you would have liked a little more to come back. But we do still have the Crown Tundra coming later in the year, so there'll be more Pokemon coming back from there. Admittedly, a lot of those are legendaries, which does kind of suck. But you know what? It is what it is. And the last thing we're going to talk about is my least favourite part of the Isle of Armor, the side quests. Now, look, I am all for doing all kinds of different things and encouraging exploration of the islands, but why the hell, Game Freak, did you give us a 150 plus, however many it was, Alolan Diglett bloody fetch quest? This thing is so dumb, and you get certain amounts of forms back for returning an X amount of Diglets and stuff like that, including the Alolan forms, the Cantonian Slowpoke, which actually holding King's Rock, which is nice. It allows you to get Slowking and stuff like that. There's a lot of rewards and stuff for picking up all the Diglets, but why? Why did you give us a massive fetch quest, which is obnoxiously hard to do in certain biomes and certain times of day, and it's just stupid. It feels so uninspiring to me, and I would much rather have seen NPCs dotted all over either the main island as well as the little side islands like the Honeycomb Lagoon and stuff like that, and things like that, where you can easily just battle these trainers that have got these forms in, and if you beat them you get those Pokemon, and then you get a reward for beating all of those trainers. That would have been so much more Pokemon-like and so much more inspiring. But I found myself frustrated time and time again. At the time of this, I'm halfway through getting through the Diglets. I haven't even finished it yet, and I don't really feel like I want to. You know, I kind of just feel bored of running around aimlessly trying to find these stupid little free little hairs that are like really, really hard to see in nighttime and stuff when I normally stream. And even if I turn it to daytime mode, half the time it's in a blooming sandstorm, which kind of makes it even more annoying. You know what I mean? So it's one of those situations where I feel like this could have been a bit more inspiring, rather than the kind of frustration and the boring mode that we have had from it. But generally speaking, aside from that, I've actually kind of enjoyed the Isle of Armor. I think it's been a nice little expansion. It hasn't been as much as I would have hoped for, but then again, you know, sometimes we all have that over expectation. We just got to learn to be patient with Game Freak at this point. Obviously, they do have a second expansion coming later in the year, which may well cover up some of the flaws that this one had, may well give a bit more than what we would have liked, but honestly, now I have a lot of really high expectations for the Crown Tundra. We've seen what they can do, and we've seen the sort of rough around the edges, but this is the opportunity for Game Freak to patch those up, and then really nail the Crown Tundra to be absolutely perfect. So that's what we're looking for, that's what I'm hoping for. Let me know what you thought about the Isle of Armor down below. Are you happy with it? Are you disappointed in it? What would you like to see for Crown Tundra? Definitely let me know, I'm interested in your thoughts. But as always, my name is Zombie Teacher. I'm your coach of the Roll Born for Zombies. Stay safe, stay awesome, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Take care.